I'd recognize the rippled hills of Pennsylvania's Appalachian Mountains anywhere. Greetings, sim aviators. It's your pilot, Quentin J. Parker. And just ahead, on the Susquehanna River, is Harrisburg International Airport, Kilo Mike Delta Tango. As I was putting the finishing touches on this video, I saw that Sometry Design developed an excellently detailed rendition of Harrisburg International for X-Plane 12 for only $21. I was sorely tempted to get it and refly this entire mission, since it was flown, recorded, and edited in mid-February 2025. Whatever version of X-Plane 12 was current then is what you're looking at now. But it's been ages since my last posted flight, and the die has been cast. At runway 31's departure end, we have the Pennsylvania Air National Guard and the 193rd Special Operations Wing Association. Its ramp could do with some C-130s. Moving further up the flight line, we've got the cargo area for Federal Express and American Airlines. It's a solid recreation of the terminal building and the airport parking garage. Seated at the northwest corner of the airport are the control tower, the maintenance facility for Piedmont Airlines, and Hershey County Flight Operations Building. This is where we'll launch from, to land at 3 of my favorite small airports in the region. Each leg will be flown direct easterly and will be accomplished in a variant of this new AeroSphere Simulations product. This is their PA28-181 Archer III, which I'll fly to Wings Field, Kilo Lima Oscar Mike. Cargo door simply pops open and shut with no animation. You can add pants to the landing gear. For better or for worse, there's a low polygon, low res stick figure pilot that actuates the flight controls and doesn't stand out at all against the plane graphics. Adding passenger or cargo weight doesn't add corresponding graphics. The cockpit door opens and closes with only a single click, rather than separately clicking both latches. You get nice reflectivity on the glass instruments. The electrical fuses and the OBS knob on CD1 are just for show. Parking brake set. Rudder trim neutral. Mixture rich. Crack the throttle. Battery master. Fuel pump. Left mag. Strobes. Nah, not yet. A squirt of prime. It was going to start regardless. I have yet to have an AeroSphere engine not turn over on command. Alternator. Right mag. Strobe. Fin strobe. Radio master. Okay, here's the drill. AeroSphere published an X-Plane 12 Piper Archer in 3 flavors, and I'm going to get a taste for each of them on a multi-airport jaunt that'll end near Belmar Beach, New Jersey. As stated, this is the venerable Archer III that I'll fly to Wings Field, Kilo Lima Oscar Mike. From there, I'll switch to the PA28-181 Archer LX to Trenton-Robbinsville, November 87, and lastly, the PA28-181 Archer DX Diesel Trainer to Monmouth Executive Airport, Kilo Bravo, Lima Mike.
Wind, light, and variable. Visibility more than 10 miles. No significant cloud. Temperature 14. Dew point 1. Altimeter 2992. Arriving runway 31. Departing runway 31. Advise on initial contact you have. Information Sierra. Harrisburg International. Information Sierra. 1700 Zulu. Wind, light, and variable. Visibility more than 10 miles. No significant cloud. Temperature 14. Dew point 1. Altimeter 2992. Arriving runway 31. Departing runway 31. Advise on initial contact you have. Information Sierra.
Sierra. How the three Archers differ is that the 3 has a 6-pack and Garmin 530 and 430 GPSs. The LX and the DX have Garmin G1000 primary flight multifunction displays and an Aspen Evolution EFD 1000 as emergency backup display. And the DX has a single power lever with full authority digital engine control, FADEC, and a 3-bladed prop. I'm going to perform a full startup for each plane as their differences make it kind of necessary. And I cannot tell you how annoyed I am that there was no instructional or operating documentation of any kind. There was a 4-page full-color PDF that's pure marketing to tell you about the planes, but nothing about how they should be flown. God, I want to punch somebody at AeroSphere. Right in their damn forehead. Okay, this is irrelevant now, but upon its version 1 release, the Archer 3 was extremely difficult to control on the ground. The Archer LX, less so. And I didn't have a problem at all with the Archer DX. You can see what I mean while I taxi and take off here. AeroSphere released new ACF files, which corrected the handling issues after this flight was made. 2 years ago, I bought their Archer 3 version 4 for X-Plane 11, and first noticed how pronounced the inconsistent graphic quality was in their aircraft. Their newer planes are much better, but there are still a few instances where it pops up. I've already pointed out the pilot, but what rubs me the wrong way the most is there's just something about this beige backing panel that looks void and not textured to the same quality as the components that it supports. I don't have to zoom into the thermometer, instrument faces, and overhead panel switches to see the low-res lettering on them. The exterior models and liveries are great. All 3 planes fly well enough in that nothing stands out about their handling in the air, but at or close to ground level, I can adopt and maintain a nose-up position well below stall speed. That takeoff was rancid. It kept pulling toward the left, and I had to get airborne before I skidded off the runway into the drink. Now, it's fine though. Climbing out at VY, and it appears to be performing by the numbers. In the meantime, there's a shift in the engine sound as you pass fore and aft of the plane's 3-9 line. It's an additional layer on the front half that sounds choppy, almost like helicopter rotors. Just give it a listen. It's not subtle, and I haven't decided if it's offensive or not. So, my happy place is the sight picture I get during cruised flight, when everything comes together, being on altitude, on course, and on time. And that sight picture has been shaped by PA28s, Cherokee 140s, Warrior 161s, and Archer 181s, in which I've done most of my actual flying. And I wanted my flight simming to get as close to that experience as I could get. So I sought out deeply modeled Pipers. The ones that best fit the bill were Flight 1's Dream Fleet Archer 2, shout out to Lou Betty, hey! And the ROTW Piper add-on for Terminal Reality's Fly. I happily admit to being biased toward Pipers in flight sims, because I can't load a sim without stubbing my toe on a dozen different renders of the same damn Cessna. Now, I've flown a Skyhawk, and it was okay, if you're into that sort of thing. But you longtime viewers have heard me tell tale about how I almost cracked my skull climbing in and out of the same 172. Besides that, just like some people prefer cats over dogs, and some prefer apples or oranges, I prefer PA28s over Cessna High Wings. As for my general aviation videos, the logbook could have just as easily been a Piper channel. All day, every day, ever so manly Piper low-wing action, baby. But one day, I started simming with V-Flight Air and then Torque Sim Cirrus planes, and part of the joy of flight sim is experiencing planes you might never get to fly or couldn't afford to fly. Wings traffic, Archer Papa India Alpha 83 is on base for runway 24, full stop, wings traffic. Oh, this is gonna be ugly. And it was indeed ugly. Full flaps, yoke back into my lap. Right there. Look at my airspeed. That's just sus to me. Wingsfield, the birthplace of AOPA, the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, of which I am a longtime member. Just recently in Meet Space, I was at the Fly Advanced FBO at Wingsfield, and the young lady behind the counter asked me if I was looking to buy a Cirrus today. Now, I'm not sure what about my appearance to her screamed that I have SR-22 money, but hell, why not have fun with it? I looked at her and said, "Why, yes, young lady. Present me with a listing of your finest Cirri." Fly Advanced is all about their Cirruses, but they do have a pair of PA28 solely for training. Next up is the PA28-181 Archer LX. It's basically the Archer 3 upgraded with Garmin G1000 primary flight and multifunction displays, and the Aspen Evolution EFD 1000 as emergency backup. Again, the fuses don't work, but air conditioning is animated. Go figure. Lettering on the overhead switches is much more crisp than in the Archer 3. Upon getting juice, the G1000 PFD comes to life and is immediately ready for use. No splash screen, no boot up or initialization. If only. The Aspen Evolution EFD 1000, as modeled in the LX and DX, is linked directly and only to emergency power. This is wrong. According to the unit's real-world pilot's guide, standby instruments initially draw from the aircraft's essential bus. The Archer 3's POH in section 7.17 states explicitly for the Aspen, and I quote, "In the event of a complete electrical failure of the alternator, primary and emergency batteries, the Aspen standby instrument will revert to its internal battery, allowing approximately 30 additional minutes of operation," unquote. It seems like this implementation is sort of a workaround. But it's the least of my issues with how the EFD 1000 is done here. Let me get airborne and I'll tell you more.
Automated weather observation. Wings field. Wind, light, and variable. Visibility more than 10 miles. No significant cloud. Temperature 14. Dew point 1. Altimeter 2992.
Okay, 31 miles to our next stop. The weather's pretty stable over the region. Can't imagine it's going to be different at November 87. Left brake good. Right brake good. And we're going to need those brakes functioning well because, lo and behold, another truck on the flight line is bent on killing me. These mofos. I don't know if it translates visually, but taxiing in the LX was not nearly as difficult as with the Archer 3. Can't wait for the next big overhaul of the visual engine where we lose the fold-out trees for good. X-Plane 13? Yeah, that takeoff was much smoother than in the Archer 3. Again, you can hear the engine sound transition on the flyby. Now, back to the EFD 1000. It mirrors pitch and roll and displays all manner of digital navigation information, so it does serve as a functional backup PFD. However, don't let the abundance of the buttons fool you. Only 3 are usable, and they're for selecting course, heading, indicated airspeed, altitude, and barometer modes and then changing their values. That's it. There are no additional features, so its complicated phase is mostly cosmetic and otherwise useless. Off from the Susquehanna River. I've crossed the Schuylkill transiting Philadelphia, and we're now about to cross the Delaware River into southern New Jersey. We're halfway done. Hang in there. I don't know why, but it is immensely annoying that I am distracted so easily by things off to the sides when I'm descending on final. Robbinsville traffic, Archer Papa India Alpha 8 Lima, on final runway 11, full stop, Robbinsville. I feel just a little tossed about for the winds to be light and variable. Of going around, but I feel like I can make this. Not too bad. Didn't correct for getting blown to the side, though. So I flew into Robbinsville a few years back and stopped right about here to do my logs and get the hops meter. I assumed I was on level ground and took my feet off the wheel brakes without engaging the parking brake. Didn't realize I was on a grade and that it had just enough of an incline that my plane had started slowly rolling backwards towards the planes behind me. I sensed the motion, looked up, and saw that I was moving. I stomped on those brakes so hard you'd have thought Thor hammered them. Anyway, nothing was damaged except, as they say, my pride. Definitely make sure to engage the parking brake. Alright, last plane is the PA28-181 Archer DX Diesel Trainer. I meant to change the livery to distinguish it from the LX that I just flew, but hey, it says diesel right on the cowl. It has an extra prop. Don't come at me. The inner ring placard on the DX fuel selector has the off label rotated 90 degrees forward when it should be opposite the left label. I don't know why they included this dangling audio jack. It does nothing. So the Archer DX has a FADEC thrust lever. Nice. And an engine start switch. Again, no fuses are animated or modeled, but oddly enough, the alternate air and air conditioner levers are. The first time I attempted to start the DX's engine, I was completely lost. It took me longer than it should have to figure out that I had to flip the engine start switch. I had no idea what role the Force B and FADEC test switches played in startup, if any. And once the engine turned over, I just hoped it didn't quit mid-flight because I didn't do something necessary. All this fuss could have been avoided with quick and dirty engine start instructions. At 22 miles, this last leg will be the shortest. As said earlier, I'm flying the version 1.0 release of these AeroSphere planes, and in the .1 update, the DX gets a new diesel sound, as well as the ground handling fix. But I gotta say, I didn't have any problems in the Archer DX tracking the center line whatsoever. Except when I go for an exterior overhead shot to get the airport taxiway lettering. I'm a dumbass. I'm taking off with partial flaps just in case because I have no POH to tell me how much runway I need for a normal takeoff. Oh, God, I want to punch somebody at AeroSphere. Right in their damn forehead. takeoff was the most effortless of the three in this mission, and it redeems that taxiway missteer I just did. That are 4 months obsolete. Let's keep it real. Still not bad. We are closing in on Monmouth Executive Airport. When I flew here, its name was Alair. And I don't give a good goddamn what anybody says. It always will be. Runway 34 was an on-field restaurant that definitely was one of my favorite places to budget a $100 hamburger. Good times were had there until it closed in 2015. Monmouth Executive, Archer Papa India Alpha 8 Delta, 13 miles west, inbound with Tango, full stop. Was meh, but again, I shouldn't be able to raise my nose at rollout speeds. Check out the interior of the control tower. mistaken, that's a de-icing station. I don't remember it being there when I landed here, but I might not have recognized it for what it was. and I was just happy to be here. Oh look, more trucks on the flight line, getting in my damn way. Final thoughts? Well, they're not far from my initial ones. The short answer is, if you're looking for the Piper aesthetic and that's all you want, this might be your add-on. The long answer is, back in Log 71, while flying the Just Flight Thranduil Archer 3, I lauded AeroSphere for their willingness to develop different versions of my beloved PA28, but specifically chided them for rendering, documentation, system depth, and additional features. That was last May. The V-Flight Aero and AeroSphere plane packages are surprisingly comparable. Both give you 3 versions of an aircraft, but the Aero package is better equipped in terms of feature set, performance, and graphical quality. It has Reality XP plugin support, so the GTN 750 can be embedded in the instrument panel. It also has the Aspen EFD 1000, but it works so much closer to the real thing. The Aero has better passengers and crew, while Heike, my ponytailed Aero 3 co-pilot, is more subtle in her animations. She's more realistically modeled. Lastly, the V-Flight Air package comes in $15 less. My overall quality order of simulated Piper aircraft rates Just Flight Thranduil in a commanding lead, followed by V-Flight Air with its Aero 3, then Aeronautical a distant third, with AeroSphere Simulations closing it out. So I did a lot of fault finding and not a lot of praise. If that made me sound like a dick or a hater, let me be crystal effing clear. I want AeroSphere Simulations to succeed for one simple reason above all. They're making products that I want to buy. And I want them to be not just better than they've been, but the goddamn best that X-Plane will support. In that vein, I've been enjoying Just Flight Thranduil's new PA161 Piper Warrior for X-Plane 12. But that's another video. This has been Quentin J. Parker, your pilot. And I will catch up with you guys a little later. That's it. I'm outie. Bye.